It's an attack on Caitlin Clark.
I've never experienced the racial comments from the Indiana Fever fan base.
When it's not going well for you, claim racism.
You've got 14,000 followers on Twitter.
It's unacceptable, honestly.
Alyssa Thomas is probably not going to have to worry about.
Put your phone down. Don't download the apps. Don't engage.
The WNBA world is in absolute chaos right now. Just 2 minutes ago, fans and analysts erupted online after shocking allegations surfaced involving none other than Alyssa Thomas and her supposed comments about Caitlin Clark. The buzz started as whispers in private group chats and comment sections, but it quickly snowballed into full-blown outrage. Social media platforms are blowing up with screenshots, clips, and reactions as people try to make sense of what just happened. Some are calling it hate speech, others say it's career-ending behavior. Either way, the storm isn't slowing down, and the WNBA community is watching every move. Fans are dissecting every angle. Clips from past games, interviews, and post-game pressers are being rewatched frame by frame. Analysts are questioning Thomas' intentions and the impact her words could have on team dynamics, league reputation, and sponsorships. It's not just a player versus player issue. This is a full-scale controversy with ripple effects that could reach the locker room, media coverage, and even future drafts. The situation escalated when threads began comparing Thomas' alleged comments to previous controversies involving players and league figures. People are asking, was this a one-off remark, or part of a bigger pattern? Was it a personal attack, or a misinterpreted statement blown out of proportion? Every angle is being scrutinized, every word analyzed. Social media doesn't forgive easily, and in today's climate, even the smallest misstep can have lasting consequences. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's fans are flooding comment sections with support, defending her legacy and calling for accountability. Former players, analysts, and sports commentators are weighing in, dissecting the tone, context, and potential fallout. Some suggest this could permanently affect Thomas' reputation in the league, while others argue there's still time to recover if the right steps are taken. One thing is certain, the next 24 hours are going to be explosive. The pressure is on, and the WNBA spotlight has never shone brighter on this controversy. This is the kind of drama that doesn't just fade. Once a conversation reaches this level, it takes a life of its own. Fans, analysts, and commentators are all waiting for Thomas' response, a team statement, or any official league comment. The tension is palpable. Every post, every reaction, and every clip is being shared, dissected, and debated. And in the world of professional sports, reputation isn't just about performance on the court, it's about perception, influence, and how you handle scrutiny under pressure. The clock is ticking, and all eyes are on Alyssa Thomas. The storm surrounding Alyssa Thomas erupted almost immediately after social media users started sharing clips and screenshots of her alleged remarks about Caitlin Clark. What began as casual whispers in fan circles quickly escalated into a full-blown controversy. Fans, commentators, and analysts began dissecting every possible angle, looking for context, intent, and potential consequences. In today's sports culture, where social media amplifies every action, even the most minor comments can have a life of their own. Thomas' words, whether misinterpreted or intentional, were suddenly being analyzed frame by frame, word by word. Every nuance mattered, and every implication was debated relentlessly online. Some fans quickly framed the incident as an attack on Clark's character, highlighting the intensity of the alleged comments. Screenshots from private discussions, social media posts, and interviews were circulated widely, fueling outrage. The discussion wasn't limited to casual fans. Former players, sports analysts, and WNBA insiders began weighing in, dissecting Thomas' tone, intent, and potential impact. Questions emerged. Was this a personal attack, a reaction to on-court rivalry, or simply a misunderstanding blown out of proportion? Social media communities didn't wait for answers. They demanded accountability immediately. Every user, every page, and every fan thread became a hub for analysis, speculation, and, in many cases, heated arguments. The narrative gained more traction as people started revisiting Thomas' past interviews and game footage. Fans began looking for patterns, scrutinizing body language, past comments, and reactions during high-stakes games. Analysts discussed the possible motivations behind the alleged remarks, debating whether professional jealousy, rivalry, or personal frustrations could have played a role. In professional sports, particularly in the WNBA, reputation is vital, and even subtle comments can influence public perception, team morale, and media coverage. Once these claims surfaced, they no longer stayed isolated. they had the power to reshape how fans and league officials perceived Thomas entirely. The reaction wasn't limited to social media chatter. Team insiders and commentators emphasized how these allegations might affect dynamics within Thomas' own team, as well as broader relationships in the league. Locker room culture, team cohesion, and trust among players could be disrupted if these claims were true. Even sponsorships and endorsements, often tied closely to personal image and public reputation, could be jeopardized. Fans debated the potential long-term fallout, predicting how sponsors, the league, and fellow athletes might respond. The scrutiny became relentless, and the pressure on Thomas intensified. Every post she made, every appearance, and every public statement became fodder for analysis, with the stakes higher than ever before. Meanwhile, Caitlin Clark's supporters rallied fiercely, using social media as a platform to defend her honor and call for accountability. Clips showcasing Clark's athleticism, professionalism, and leadership were shared widely, contrasting her image with the allegations against Thomas. The tension quickly spread beyond basketball forums into mainstream social media, attracting casual fans, sports journalists, and high-profile commentators who were eager to weigh in on the controversy. Memes, reaction videos, and opinion threads exploded, creating an environment where every move was magnified and dissected for its potential meaning. Adding to the intensity was the speed at which the information spread. Within hours, hashtags related to the incident were trending, fan pages were flooding with reactions, and sports networks began discussing the possible implications on air. Analysts debated the credibility of the sources, the context of the comments, and the broader significance for the league. Social media became a digital courtroom where Thomas' reputation was being evaluated in real time, with millions of fans acting as jurors. The stakes weren't just about public opinion. They were about legacy, influence, and professional trajectory in a league that values both skill and character. What made the situation particularly complex was the uncertainty surrounding Thomas' intent. Without a public statement addressing the allegations directly, speculation filled the void. Some fans argued that the comments were taken out of context, exaggerated, or misinterpreted. Others insisted that, regardless of context, the language used was unacceptable and demanded consequences. This ambiguity intensified the discussion, forcing Thomas into an uncomfortable position where silence could be interpreted as guilt, and a rushed explanation could be scrutinized endlessly. In the midst of all this, the WNBA community was reminded of the fragility of public perception in professional sports. Athletes are constantly under observation, and even casual remarks can spark controversy when amplified by millions of viewers online. The combination of social media, fan scrutiny, and media coverage ensures that nothing stays private for long. For Alyssa Thomas, every move from this point on would not only be a reaction to the immediate allegations but also a strategic consideration in preserving her legacy, professional relationships, and public image. The pressure was immense, and the consequences potentially lasting. The unfolding story wasn't just about the alleged comments, it was about reputation, accountability, and the delicate balance of trust and professionalism in sports. For fans, it was a front-row seat to drama that could reshape narratives within the WNBA. For Thomas and Clark, it was a test of resilience, image management, and the power of public perception. And as the world watched, one thing became clear. This controversy would define conversations in the league for weeks, if not months, to come. The controversy surrounding Alyssa Thomas only intensified as the hours passed, evolving from a hot topic on social media into a widespread conversation that engulfed the entire WNBA community. Fans were relentless, combing through interviews, press conferences, and post-game footage, searching for anything that could provide context or corroborate the allegations. Every subtle gesture, every glance, and every remark from both Thomas and Caitlin Clark was now subject to scrutiny. The online discourse had become a full-scale examination, with social media platforms acting as a digital magnifying glass over every detail. Even casual observers were joining the debate, sharing their interpretations and making bold statements about the potential impact of the incident on Thomas' career. Within this heated atmosphere, analysts and commentators began providing deeper insight into how such controversies could influence team dynamics. Coaches, teammates, and league insiders were reportedly concerned about the potential tension that could arise within Thomas' own roster. In professional sports, locker room chemistry is essential, and allegations of personal attacks or disparaging remarks can erode trust between players. If teammates begin questioning motives or loyalty, it can directly affect on-court performance and cohesion. As the story spread, Discussions about team morale and leadership responsibilities became central, with many questioning whether Thomas' actions, intentional or otherwise, could disrupt the delicate balance that teams rely on to succeed at the highest level. The role of social media cannot be overstated in escalating this situation. Within minutes of the initial allegations surfacing, hashtags related to the controversy were trending, and millions of users were actively sharing their reactions. Screenshots and video clips circulated across multiple platforms, some verified, others questionable. Opinion threads on Twitter and Reddit dissected the situation extensively, debating context, intent, and consequences. Even prominent sports journalists and commentators joined the conversation, offering their own perspectives and further fueling public engagement. The rapid dissemination of information, combined with the interpretive nature of social media commentary, created a feedback loop where speculation and outrage reinforced each other, making it increasingly difficult for the truth, or a balanced narrative, to emerge clearly. Caitlin Clark's supporters became highly vocal, mobilizing online to defend her reputation and challenge Thomas' alleged remarks. Highlight reels, statistics, and accolades were shared widely, emphasizing Clark's professionalism, skill, and contributions to the league. This defensive mobilization heightened the divide between fan bases, resulting in heated exchanges across comment sections and forums. Memes, reaction videos, and opinion-based posts exploded, often blurring the line between factual reporting and entertainment. The controversy had transcended the initial comments and become a cultural moment within the WNBA, demonstrating how social media magnifies and perpetuates conflicts in real time. The ambiguity of Thomas' intent added complexity to the situation. Without a clear public statement addressing the allegations, speculation ran rampant. Some argued that the remarks were misunderstood or taken out of context, while others insisted that the content of the comments was unacceptable regardless of interpretation. Silence, in this case, became a double-edged sword. It protected her from immediate backlash while simultaneously leaving room for criticism. Fans, analysts, and media outlets debated whether Thomas should issue a formal statement or continue focusing on her career, weighing the potential benefits and risks of either course of action. The uncertainty created an environment in which perception became as impactful as reality, influencing both public opinion and potential league responses. Industry insiders also weighed in on the broader implications. In professional sports, reputation is intertwined with marketability, sponsorship opportunities, and post-career prospects. Controversies of this nature can have long-lasting effects, extending beyond immediate fan reactions to influence partnerships, endorsements, and even future contracts. Analysts suggested that Thomas' handling of the situation would be critical in determining whether she could maintain her professional standing or if the allegations would cast a lingering shadow over her career. Similarly, Clark's image could also be affected, as the controversy positioned her as both a central figure and a symbol of resilience within the league. Adding to the tension was the awareness that third-party influences often amplify disputes within professional sports. Rivalries, media agendas, and opportunistic commentators can magnify perceived conflicts, sometimes creating narratives that extend beyond the initial facts. Whether intentional or not, these factors contributed to the rapid escalation of the story. Fans speculated endlessly about potential instigators and their motivations, examining how information might have been selectively leaked or framed to generate attention. This external pressure further complicated Thomas' response strategy, as any misstep could be interpreted as confirmation of wrongdoing, while overcorrection might be seen as insincere or defensive. The human element behind the controversy remained critical. Both Thomas and Clark operate in a highly competitive, high-pressure environment where performance, professionalism, and public perception are constantly under observation. Allegations of disparaging remarks touch on deeper issues of trust, integrity, and respect, all of which influence relationships both on and off the court. For Thomas, navigating these dynamics required careful consideration of not only her public image but also her interactions with teammates, coaches, and league officials. The stakes were personal, professional, and highly visible, creating an environment where every action or inaction carried significance far beyond the initial incident. Ultimately, this controversy serves as a stark example of the power of perception in modern professional sports. The combination of social media amplification, fan engagement, and media scrutiny has transformed a single allegation into a defining moment for both Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark. With reputations, careers, and legacies on the line, every interaction and statement becomes critical. The situation continues to evolve in real time, keeping fans, analysts, and league insiders on edge as the full implications remain uncertain. And as the WNBA community watches closely, it's clear that this moment will be remembered for its intensity, its impact, and the lessons it underscores about communication, accountability, and perception in the world of professional basketball. As the controversy surrounding Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark continued to unfold, it became increasingly clear that the situation had evolved beyond a simple dispute. What started as an alleged comment had now morphed into a full-scale debate about professionalism, respect, and accountability in the WNBA. Fans, analysts, and insiders were all actively participating, dissecting every move, gesture, and public appearance of both athletes. Social media platforms became virtual arenas where every opinion was amplified and every reaction scrutinized. The intensity of engagement was unprecedented, illustrating just how much a single incident could dominate discourse in modern professional sports. The ripple effect extended into the league itself. Coaches, team officials, and league representatives were reportedly paying close attention, assessing potential ramifications on team dynamics, locker room cohesion, and league image. A conflict like this has implications beyond personal reputations. It can affect sponsorships, fan engagement, and even the broader perception of the league. Internal discussions about public relations strategy, team culture, and athlete mentorship reportedly intensified as stakeholders sought to mitigate potential fallout. Maintaining a professional environment while addressing allegations of personal attacks requires careful coordination, and the pressure on Thomas' team and the league was mounting. Meanwhile, Clark's supporters remained highly visible and vocal. They flooded social media with clips highlighting her skills, dedication, and professionalism, emphasizing that her reputation should remain untarnished by alleged comments. Reaction videos, fan posts, and commentary from former players reinforced the narrative that Clark's legacy and contributions to the league deserve protection. At the same time, Thomas supporters argued that context and intent must be considered before passing judgment, leading to heated exchanges across forums and comment sections. The debate became polarized, creating a digital battleground where public perception was constantly being challenged and reshaped. Adding to the complexity was the uncertainty surrounding Thomas' intent. Without a direct statement addressing the allegations, speculation filled the void. Some argued the comments were misinterpreted or taken out of context, while others insisted that, regardless of context, professional athletes must be held accountable for their words. The silence from Thomas created tension. Fans debated whether she was carefully strategizing her response, avoiding escalation, or struggling to address the situation under intense scrutiny. In a climate where perception can define careers, her next moves were critical. Any misstep could have long-term consequences for her reputation, endorsements, and professional relationships. Social media's role in amplifying the situation cannot be understated. Within hours, hashtags and trending topics related to the controversy dominated platforms. Opinion threads, reaction videos, and memes circulated widely, influencing public perception and magnifying the stakes. Analysts and commentators offered various interpretations, sometimes conflicting, which only fueled further debate. The rapid spread of information, coupled with the interpretive nature of online commentary, created an environment where rumor and reality were intertwined, and perception became as influential as fact. For Thomas and Clark, every public appearance, social media post, or interview was now analyzed for hidden meaning or indication of sentiment. The involvement of third-party actors added another layer of intrigue. In professional sports, rivals, commentators, or opportunistic figures often exploit tension to gain visibility or influence narratives. Whether intentional or not, these factors can magnify disputes, turning minor incidents into major controversies. Fans speculated on possible instigators, discussing how selective leaks or misrepresentation might have fueled the drama. This external pressure intensified the stakes, as Thomas' potential response could either calm the situation or exacerbate it depending on timing, tone, and content. In such a volatile environment, strategic communication is as important as athletic performance. The human element remained central throughout the unfolding drama. Both Thomas and Clark operate in a high-pressure environment where performance, character, and public perception are closely linked. Allegations of disparaging remarks strike at the core of professional respect and personal integrity. For Thomas, navigating these dynamics required careful consideration of her public statements, her relationships within the league, and her career trajectory. For Clark, the situation tested her resilience and capacity to maintain professionalism under scrutiny. The emotional stakes, combined with the visibility of modern sports media, created a unique tension that extended beyond the court. Ultimately, the situation served as a stark reminder of the fragility of reputation in professional sports. A single allegation, amplified by social media and fan engagement, can influence narratives, perceptions, and professional opportunities. For Alyssa Thomas, how she manages the aftermath may define public opinion and her legacy within the league. For Caitlin Clark, the incident reinforces the importance of professionalism and the vigilance required in navigating competitive environments. The broader WNBA community watches closely, aware that every statement, gesture, and action carries consequences. As the story develops, it becomes evident that this controversy will shape discussions about accountability, reputation, and conduct in the league for months to come. The intensity of scrutiny also highlights how modern sports culture intersects with digital media. Fans are empowered to interpret, analyze, and amplify incidents in real time, often creating narratives that extend beyond the initial facts. In this case, every nuance, from facial expressions to offhand remarks, has been dissected and debated, illustrating the high stakes of public perception. For athletes, this reality necessitates a constant awareness of how words, actions, and social media presence can influence both their careers and their personal brands. As the WNBA continues to evolve, the Thomas Clark controversy underscores the importance of navigating professional conduct carefully. Athletes operate in an environment where scrutiny is relentless and mistakes can be magnified instantly. The unfolding events demonstrate that reputation, trust, and communication are critical components of success, not just on the court, but in the broader ecosystem of professional sports. Every reaction, comment, and decision now contributes to shaping the narrative and influencing public perception, making this episode a defining moment in the careers of both players. As the controversy surrounding Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark escalated, it became increasingly apparent that the implications stretched far beyond social media outrage. Fans were dissecting every available clip, interview, and post to determine the context and meaning behind Thomas' alleged remarks. Comment sections became battlegrounds, with supporters of both athletes debating fervently over intent, professionalism, and accountability. Every movement, every facial expression, and every subtle tone in past interviews was scrutinized as if it held the key to understanding the controversy. In today's digital age, perception often becomes as powerful as fact, and this situation demonstrated how quickly narratives can spiral out of control when millions of fans are watching. The controversy began to affect team dynamics as well. Coaches, teammates, and league officials reportedly became concerned about potential tension within Thomas' squad. In professional sports, relationships in the locker room are crucial, and even minor allegations of disrespect or personal attacks can have serious consequences. Questions emerged regarding team cohesion, communication, and trust. Could teammates feel confident relying on someone accused of making disparaging remarks about another prominent player? The uncertainty surrounding Thomas' conduct created an atmosphere of tension, and insiders suggested that management was closely monitoring interactions, press conferences, and social media activity to gauge the situation. Social media played a pivotal role in amplifying the controversy. Within hours of the allegations surfacing, hashtags and trending topics dominated multiple platforms, including Twitter, Instagram, and TikTok. Fans, content creators, and sports commentators flooded the digital space with opinion threads, reaction videos, and analyses. Clips from games, interviews, and press conferences were repurposed to highlight potential indications of intent or attitude, creating an environment where rumor and reality intertwined. Every post from Thomas or Clark was dissected for clues, and every ambiguous statement sparked speculation. The virality of the story made it nearly impossible for either athlete to address the situation privately, as millions of eyes were scrutinizing every possible reaction. Clark's supporters were vocal and strategic in defending her reputation. Social media campaigns highlighted her professionalism, dedication, and consistent performance, contrasting it with the allegations against Thomas. Reaction videos, highlight reels, and commentary from former players amplified Clark's position, reinforcing the narrative that she was a respected figure unfairly targeted by disparaging remarks. Meanwhile, Thomas supporters argued that context was essential and that misinterpretations or overreactions could have exaggerated the issue. This clash created a polarized online atmosphere, further fueling discussion and engagement. The uncertainty surrounding Thomas' intent became a major point of debate. Without a clear public statement, fans, analysts, and media commentators filled the void with speculation. Was the comment a misunderstanding, an offhand remark, or a deliberate slight? Each possibility carried different consequences for Thomas' reputation and public perception. Silence, while sometimes strategic in crisis management, also risked being interpreted as tacit acknowledgement or guilt. How she responded, or didn't, would shape the narrative for weeks, if not months, influencing both her image and her standing in the league. Third-party influences appeared to have amplified the situation as well. In professional sports, rivalries, opportunists, or media outlets can manipulate narratives, intentionally or unintentionally, to generate attention or create controversy. Rumors, selective leaks, and exaggerated interpretations can intensify conflicts that might otherwise remain minor. Fans speculated about whether external figures had a hand in spreading the story or framing the situation to their advantage. The possibility of manipulation added another layer of complexity, making Thomas' response strategy even more critical. Missteps could escalate the controversy, while careful communication could mitigate it. At its core, the controversy highlighted the importance of trust, respect, and professionalism in professional sports. For Thomas, navigating the fallout required balancing public perception, relationships with teammates, and long-term career implications. Allegations of disparaging remarks not only influence fan opinion but also affect professional partnerships, endorsements, and media coverage. For Clark, the situation tested her resilience and ability to maintain focus amid heightened scrutiny. Both athletes were forced to navigate an environment where every word and action carries weight, and the stakes extended far beyond individual performance on the court. The situation also illustrated how modern sports culture intersects with social media, creating an environment where accountability is instantaneous and intense. Fans are empowered to analyze, interpret, and spread narratives globally within minutes. In this case, every nuance, tone, expression, or social media interaction was analyzed for significance. Athletes must constantly consider how their words and actions will be perceived, and mistakes can be magnified far beyond the initial context. Thomas' situation became a case study in how reputation management, strategic communication, and professional conduct are intertwined in today's high-stakes sports landscape. Ultimately, the controversy between Thomas and Clark demonstrates the fragility of reputation and the pervasive influence of perception in professional sports. The incident's reach extends beyond the individuals involved, affecting fan communities, league dynamics, sponsorships, and media coverage. How Thomas handles the aftermath may define her public image for years to come, while Clark's response further reinforces her professionalism and status in the league. As the story continues to unfold, it is clear that every decision, statement, and social media post will be scrutinized, shaping not only public perception but also the broader narrative within the WNBA. This controversy serves as a reminder that in modern sports, image, accountability, and strategy are just as important as performance on the court. As the controversy surrounding Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark continued to unfold, it became increasingly clear that this situation was shaping up to be one of the most scrutinized moments in recent WNBA history. What had started as an alleged comment had snowballed into a full-scale debate that engaged fans, media outlets, and sports professionals alike. Every statement, every interview, and every post on social media became a potential piece of evidence or a trigger for renewed discussion. The speed at which the controversy spread demonstrated just how high the stakes were and how the power of perception in professional sports has intensified in the digital age. Fans continued to dissect every possible angle. Social media feeds were flooded with reaction videos, screenshots, and analysis threads that replayed clips from past games, interviews, and public appearances. Some argued that Thomas' alleged remarks reflected a pattern of behavior, while others insisted it was an isolated misunderstanding blown out of proportion. Meanwhile, supporters of Clark highlighted her professionalism, resilience, and consistency on the court, contrasting it with the accusations aimed at Thomas. The polarized discussion amplified tensions online, creating a situation where perception and narrative carried as much weight as factual context. The league itself reportedly took notice of the growing storm. WNBA officials, team management, and coaching staff monitored interactions closely, aware that such a high-profile controversy could affect the league's image, team cohesion, and fan engagement. Allegations of disparaging remarks between two prominent athletes can disrupt locker room chemistry, influence sponsorship decisions, and shift public perception of the league as a whole. Stakeholders were reportedly weighing whether to issue statements, conduct internal reviews, or mediate privately to prevent escalation. The professional ramifications extended far beyond the initial comment, emphasizing the gravity of accountability in modern sports culture. Thomas' silence, or strategic restraint, remained a central point of discussion. While some fans interpreted it as tacit acknowledgement or a sign of guilt, Others argued that remaining composed and focusing on professional duties was the wiser course of action. In today's hyper-connected world, any response can be scrutinized, misinterpreted, or weaponized online. Analysts emphasized that a carefully measured approach might protect Thomas' long-term reputation while avoiding unnecessary escalation. Every post, every interview, and every public appearance became part of a larger strategy, whether intentional or forced by the intensity of public attention. Meanwhile, third-party influences continued to shape the narrative. Analysts and insiders speculated about how media outlets, commentators, and social media personalities might amplify or distort the story for engagement. Rumors, selective edits, and opinion-based coverage can intensify controversy, creating layers of narrative that extend beyond the original incident. In this environment, the challenge for Thomas was not only addressing public perception but also navigating external forces that could further complicate her reputation. Every move, or lack thereof, was interpreted as a statement, adding complexity to an already tense situation. The human element remained critical throughout. Both Thomas and Clark operate in high-pressure professional environments where performance, professionalism, and public perception are constantly evaluated. Allegations of disparaging remarks touch on trust, respect, and integrity, values that extend beyond individual skill or athletic ability. For Thomas, navigating this controversy required balancing personal ethics, professional relationships, and public image. For Clark, it involved maintaining composure, focus, and professionalism while under intense public scrutiny. The psychological and emotional stakes were significant, highlighting the challenges athletes face when personal disputes intersect with public visibility. The controversy also underscored how reputation management has become a central component of an athlete's career. Modern professional sports demand that athletes not only excel on the court but also carefully curate their public persona. In Thomas' case, every social media post, media interaction, and public appearance became part of a larger strategy to protect her brand and mitigate potential fallout. For Clark, the controversy reinforced her position as a professional role model and emphasized the importance of navigating public disputes with composure. The incident became a lens through which fans, commentators, and league officials could evaluate not only the athlete's behavior but also their ability to handle high-pressure situations effectively. Ultimately, the Thomas Clark controversy demonstrated the fragility and power of reputation in modern professional sports. A single remark, or the perception of one, can escalate into a widespread debate that affects not just the individuals involved but the league, fan engagement, sponsorship opportunities, and media narratives. How Thomas chooses to respond in the coming days and weeks could shape her public image for years, while Clark's handling of the situation further solidifies her professionalism and resilience. For fans, this saga is a real-time case study in accountability, perception, and the influence of social media on professional sports. As the story continues to develop, it is evident that this controversy will have lasting effects on both athletes and the league. Every statement, gesture, and action from either side is now amplified, analyzed, and debated. The incident highlights the high stakes of public perception, the complexity of interpersonal dynamics in professional sports, and the strategic considerations athletes must weigh in navigating controversy. In a world where fans are empowered to scrutinize, interpret, and amplify narratives instantly, every decision matters. For Thomas, Clark, and the WNBA at large, this controversy is more than a fleeting scandal. It is a defining moment in reputation, professionalism, and the modern landscape of women's basketball. The controversy between Alyssa Thomas and Caitlin Clark is far from over, and fans are watching every move closely. Now it's your turn to join the conversation. What do you think really happened behind the scenes? Was this a misunderstanding blown out of proportion, or do the allegations hold weight? Drop your thoughts in the comments and let your voice be heard, because fan perspectives are shaping this story in real time. Make sure to like this video if you're following this drama and subscribe for the latest updates from the WNBA and beyond. Turn on notifications so you're the first to know when new developments unfold. Whether it's a statement from Alyssa Thomas, a response from Caitlin Clark, or insider updates from the league. This is one story you won't want to miss.